It starts with a sound you have trained your body to hate. 6:30 a.m. It's not just an alarm. It is a psychological trigger. It cuts through the darkness of your bedroom, and for a split second, before your brain fully boots up, you feel peace. You feel safe. And then the reality hits you. The memory of who you are, where you have to go, and what you have to do floods back in. The heaviness settles into your chest. You don't want to move. You physically recoil from the day ahead. You think about calling in sick. You run the calculation in your head: how many days off do I have left? Is it worth it? No. You can't. You have that meeting. You have that deadline. You have that mortgage. So you do what you have done 2,000 times before. You drag your body out of the warmth, not because you want to, but because you are afraid of the consequences of stopping. This is the first lie you tell yourself every single morning, that this is a choice. It isn't a choice. It is compliance. You move through the morning on autopilot. The shower. The coffee that burns your tongue, but you drink it anyway because you need the chemical jumpstart just to function. The clothes you wouldn't wear if you weren't paid to wear them. You are putting on a costume. You are preparing to play a character that isn't you for 8, 9, maybe 10 hours. But the pain didn't start at 6:30 a.m. on Monday. It started 18 hours earlier. Think about Sunday night. The sun goes down and the Sunday scaries set in. You're sitting on your couch, trying to watch a movie, trying to relax, trying to enjoy the time that is legally yours. But you can't. You aren't actually present. Your body is on the couch, but your mind is already in the office. You are pre-living the stress. You are mentally answering emails that haven't been sent yet. You are rehearsing conversations with people you don't like. This is the invisible theft of the 9 to 5 lie. They pay you for 40 hours, but they own your mind for 168. You are never truly off the clock because the shadow of the clock is always looming over your leisure. You spend your Friday recovering. You spend your Saturday running the errands you couldn't do during the week. And you spend your Sunday dreading the return. Where is the life you were promised? Where is the balance? It doesn't exist. It is a marketing term invented to keep you from realizing that you are running on a hamster wheel that is generating power for someone else's light bulb. Now you're in the car or on the train. Look around you. Really look. Don't look at your phone. Look at the faces of the people next to you. This is the morning migration. Millions of human beings biologically designed to hunt, to create, to explore, to move, all sitting stagnant in metal boxes, inching forward in traffic, staring blankly ahead. There is no joy here. There is no spark in these eyes. There is only resignation. A collective, silent agreement that this is just how it is. You merge onto the highway, and you feel that spike of cortisol when someone cuts you off. You aren't angry at the car. You are angry at the cage. You are angry because you are trading the most valuable resource in the universe. Your time, your literal life force, for a paycheck that barely covers the cost of existing in the city you need to live in to have the job. It is a closed loop, a snake eating its own tail. You work to pay for the car to get to work to pay for the house that sits empty while you are at work. And then you arrive. The fluorescent lights hum. That specific, sterile smell of the office carpet hits you. You sit in the chair. You turn on the screen. And you realize, with a terrifying clarity that you usually push deep down into your subconscious, that you are going to do this again tomorrow. And the day after that. And the day after that. For 40 years. This is the 9 to 5 lie in its purest form. The lie is that this is temporary. The lie is that this is the grind before the glory. You tell yourself, I'll just do this for a few more years, save up, and then I'll be free. Pause. Look at the math. You aren't saving enough. You know it. I know it. The cost of living is rising faster than your 3% annual raise. The finish line isn't getting closer. It is moving away from you at Mach speed. You are chasing a horizon that recedes every time you take a step. The system was designed this way. If you could actually save enough to leave in 5 years, the system would collapse. They need you in that chair. They need you dependent. They need you terrified of the gap on your resume, so you open your email. You fake a smile at a coworker who asks, "How was your weekend?" You say, "Too short." You always say, "Too short." It's a script. You are an actor in a play you didn't write, performing for an audience that doesn't care, waiting for a curtain call that is decades away. And deep down in the pit of your stomach, you know the truth. You aren't working toward retirement. You are working toward death. The golden years are a myth sold to you to keep you docile while they extract the prime years of your youth, your energy, and your health. You are trading your spine for a pension that might not be there and a 401k that the market can wipe out in a week. The alarm didn't just wake you up. It signaled the start of another day where you sell pieces of yourself that you will never, ever get back. You check your phone. A notification pops up. Direct deposit. $2,482.00. For a brief, fleeting moment, your shoulders drop. The knot in your stomach loosens. The dopamine hits your brain like a warm wave. You feel solvent. You feel okay. You think, "I can make this work." But watch what happens next. Before that digital money even settles, your brain is already slicing it up. Rent, car payment, student loan, credit card minimum, the grocery run. That subscription you forgot to cancel. By the time you put the phone back in your pocket, the money is gone. This is the cycle of the just enough. The system is not designed to starve you. If you were starving, you would revolt. You would break the machine. No, the system is designed to keep you fed just enough so that you don't hunt, but not enough that you can ever stop begging. It is a precise caloric calculation. They give you exactly the amount of resources required to keep you showing up, but never the amount required to walk away. This is the architecture of the trap, and you don't even see the bars because they plated them in gold. You call it stability. You call it a good job. You tell your parents they have great benefits. Pause, look at that word, benefits. They are not benefits, they are leverage. The dental plan, the health insurance, the 401k match. These aren't gifts, they are the chains that bind you to the desk. You stay in a job you hate because you are terrified of losing the insurance for a body that is getting sick because of the stress of the job. Do you see the absurdity? You are working to insure the vessel that the work is destroying, and then comes the lifestyle creep. This is the invisible mechanism that ensures you never escape. You get a promotion, a 10% raise, you feel successful, you think, "Finally, I can save." But you don't save. You move into a slightly nicer apartment. You lease a slightly newer car. You start buying the organic groceries. You upgrade your phone. Why? Because you are trying to compensate for the misery of the 40 hours. You feel you deserve these things because you suffered all week. You treat yourself. You buy the $600 watch because you sold your time. So you want to look at a nice object while you count down the minutes until you can leave. So your expenses rise to meet your income. The handcuffs get tighter, but they feel better because they are lined with velvet. You are now earning more than you ever have, yet you are just as trapped as you were when you were making minimum wage. The number changed. The math didn't. And then there is the weekly ritual, the collective hallucination we call the weekend. Friday, 5 p.m. The energy in the office shifts. People smile for the first time in 5 days. Any big plans? Thank God it's Friday. Think about what that phrase actually admits. Thank God it's Friday implies that the other 4 days were a godless purgatory. It is an open admission that you have just survived a hostage situation. So you go out, you meet your friends, you order the drinks, You shout over the music. You are living. But are you? Or are you just venting steam so the boiler doesn't explode? You spend Friday night numbing the brain that was overstimulated all week. You spend Saturday running the errands you couldn't do because you were sold to the company. And Sunday, we already talked about Sunday. You aren't living for the weekend. You are recovering on the weekend. You are maintaining the machine so it can run again on Monday. And look at who you are chasing. Look at your boss. This is the person you are supposed to aspire to be. This is the next rung on the ladder. Look at them closely. Are they free? Are they happy? No. They are just you 10 years later with higher blood pressure and a bigger mortgage. They answer emails at 9 p.m. They miss their kids' soccer games because of a conference call. They look tired. Their skin is grey. They are divorced or in a marriage that is essentially a roommate agreement because they are never home at the same time. And yet, you are killing yourself to get their job. You are climbing a ladder that is leaning against a burning building. You are fighting for a promotion that is actually a sentencing hearing. Congratulations, we are bumping you up to senior manager. Translation. Congratulations, we now own even more of your mental bandwidth, and in exchange, we will give you a title that means absolutely nothing outside of these four walls. You have internalized the pattern so deeply that you defend it. When someone suggests there might be another way, you get defensive. Well, we all have to work. That's just life. You have to be realistic. Realistic is the word the jailers taught you to keep you from checking the lock on the cell door. You have recognized the pattern in everyone else. The commuter in the next car, the tired cashier, the stressed-out middle manager. But you haven't fully admitted that when you look in the mirror, you are seeing the exact same casualty. You are running a race where the finish line is a heart attack at 65, and the prize is a gold watch you're too old to care about. You sit down at your computer. You open up that little retirement calculator tool your bank provides, the one with the sliding bars. You slide the current age bar. You slide the desired retirement age bar to 65. You input your current savings, and then you hit calculate. And the number stares back at you. It's red. Or it's a number so small it makes your chest tight. The screen tells you that to maintain your current lifestyle, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly lavish, you need to save 3 times what you are currently saving. You need millions. Millions of dollars just to sit on a porch and not starve when you're 70. You stare at the screen. You do the mental math. If I stop buying coffee, if I cancel Netflix, if I drive the Honda for another 5 years. Stop. You are bargaining with a rigged algorithm. This is the gut punch realization. The math does not work. It was never designed to work. You have been sold a narrative called compound interest will save you. They showed you a chart in high school. If you save $100 a month starting at age 20, you'll be a millionaire by 65. They forgot to mention inflation. They forgot to mention that $1 million in 40 years will buy you a used sedan and a loaf of bread. You are chasing a moving target. Every year you work, the cost of the freedom you are trying to buy goes up by 5%, 7%, 10%. Your raise was 3%. Do you see it? You are running backward. You are working harder this year than you did last year, just to be poorer than you were before, and here is the hardest pill to swallow, the lie of meritocracy. You believe that if you work hard, you will be rewarded. You believe that your output equals your income. You stay late. You take on the extra project. You cover for the guy who quit. You think, they'll notice, they'll reward me. Let me tell you how the machine actually works. Your salary is not based on your value. Your salary is based on the cost of replacing you. That is it. If you generate $1 million of value for the company, and they can find someone desperate enough to do it for $60,000, Your salary is $60,000. The gap between the million you made them and the 60 grand they gave you. That isn't an accident. That is the business model. That is where the profit comes from. Your underpayment is the source of their wealth. So when you work harder, when you become more efficient, when you do the work of two people, you aren't building your own empire. You are increasing their margins. You are digging your own hole deeper because now they expect that level of output for the same price. You have devalued your own labor by giving it away for free. You sit in your annual performance review. The manager sits across from you. They have a piece of paper. They look serious. They talk about KPI and growth areas. They say, you exceeded expectations this year. You feel a swell of pride. You think, here it comes. Then they slide the paper across the desk. We're happy to offer you a 3.5% adjustment. 3.5%, inflation was 6%. They are looking you in the eye, smiling, and telling you that you are effectively taking a pay cut. And you say, thank you. You shake their hand. You walk out of the room relieved that you didn't get fired. This is the psychological violence of the system. They have trained you to be grateful for crumbs while they eat the loaf you baked. And consider the safety you think you have. You think the 9 to 5 protects you. You think it's the safe path. But what happens when the quarterly earnings miss the projection by 1%? What happens when the consultants come in? They don't look at you as a person. They don't see the late nights. They don't see your loyalty. They see a line item on an Excel spreadsheet. Headcount. Human capital. They hit delete. And just like that, the safety is gone. The 20 years of service. Gone. The security. Gone. You are escorted out of the building by a security guard who is also one bad day away from being fired, holding a cardboard box filled with the trinkets of a wasted career. You aren't a partner. You aren't family. You are a battery. And when the charge runs out, or when a cheaper battery hits the market, you are discarded. You feel this truth in your gut. You feel it every time you see a headline about layoffs, and your heart skips a beat. That fear is your intuition telling you the truth. You are standing on a trapdoor and you don't hold the lever. Why do you stay? It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you have been subjected to the most effective psychological conditioning experiment in human history. This isn't just capitalism. This is operant conditioning. B.F. Skinner put rats in a box. He gave them a lever. If the rat pressed the lever and got food every time, the rat would press it only when hungry. But if the rat pressed the lever and got food only sometimes, on an unpredictable schedule, the rat would press the lever obsessively. It became addicted. But the 9 to 5 uses a different variation. Fixed interval reinforcement. You get paid every 2 weeks. Like clockwork, the pellet drops on Friday. This creates a specific behavioral pattern. A lull in activity immediately after the reward, followed by a frantic increase in activity just before the next reward. You see this in your own life. You spend the weekend spending the money, the lull, then spend the next 10 days anxiously working to secure the next drop. The predictability of the paycheck is the drug. It bypasses your natural survival instinct. In the wild, if you don't hunt, you don't eat. The feedback loop is immediate. In the cubicle, the feedback loop is severed. You can have a bad day, you can be unproductive, you can zombie walk through a meeting, and the pellet still drops on Friday. This dulls your edge. It atrophies your ability to hunt. You lose the skill of generating value directly. You become dependent on the dispenser. If the dispenser breaks, you don't know how to feed yourself. This dependency is engineered. If you knew how to hunt, you wouldn't need the farm. Then there is the sunk cost fallacy. You have invested time. Maybe you have a degree. You spent 4 years and $50,000 learning to be a marketing coordinator. You spent 5 years climbing to senior coordinator. Psychologically, you cannot walk away from that investment. Your brain screams, if I leave now, those 9 years were wasted, so you invest more time. You throw good years after bad. You think, I've already suffered this much, I might as well get to the manager level so it was worth it. This is how gamblers lose their houses. They stay at the table trying to win back what they lost, digging the hole deeper with every hand. You are gambling with years of your life, hoping the next promotion will justify the misery of the last decade. But the most insidious mechanism is learned helplessness. Martin Seligman did an experiment with dogs. He put them in a cage where they received mild shocks. At first, they tried to escape. But the cage was locked. Eventually, the dogs stopped trying. They just laid down and whined. They accepted the shock as an unavoidable fact of life. Later, Seligman opened the cage door. The dogs could easily walk out, but they didn't. They stayed and took the shocks. They had learned that they were helpless. You have learned that you are helpless without a job. You look at the entrepreneur, the freelancer, the person living off-grid, and you think, I could never do that. That's too risky. Is it? Is it riskier than relying on a single source of income controlled by a stranger who needs to hit a quarterly bonus target? Is it riskier than trading your health for a salary that doesn't keep up with inflation? No. But you feel it is riskier because the shock of the alarm clock, the commute, and the boss is familiar. You have learned to tolerate the voltage. The open door terrifies you because you have forgotten how to walk through it. Finally, consider the concept of identity fusion. The system encourages you to merge your self-worth with your economic function. What do? It is the first question we ask at parties. We don't ask, what do you love? Or what are you curious about? We ask, how do you earn your survival tokens? And you answer, I am an accountant. I am a teacher. I am a sales rep. You use the verb to be. You have fused your soul with your utility. If you lose the job, you don't just lose money. You lose yourself. You lose your answer to the question, who are you? This is the ultimate psychological handcuff. You defend the cage because without the cage, you don't know what shape you are. You protect the system that exploits you because the system gave you a name tag. And without the name tag, you feel invisible. The fear you feel when you think about quitting isn't financial fear. It is existential terror. It is the terror of having to define yourself without a corporate letterhead. You defend the cage because the cage has become your only metric for sanity. Watch what happens when you meet someone who doesn't work a 9 to 5. Someone who travels or freelances or makes money in a way you don't understand. You don't feel happy for them. You feel annoyed. You feel a prickle of judgment. You ask, but what about health insurance? What about your pension? Isn't that unstable? You aren't asking out of concern. You are asking out of self-defense. If they are right, then you are wrong. If they can survive and thrive without the misery you endure daily, then your suffering is not necessary. And if your suffering is not necessary, then you are not a martyr. You are a volunteer victim. That thought is too painful to bear, so you reject them. You label them irresponsible, lucky, or lazy. You dismiss their reality to protect your own. You become the immune system of the matrix, attacking anyone who disconnects. This is why you brag about how tired you are. Listen to your conversations. I worked 60 hours this week. I haven't slept. I'm swamped. You say these things like they are medals of honor. You compete with your friends to see who is more miserable. You think you're tired. I was up until 2 a.m. answering emails. Why do we do this? Why do we fetishize our own exhaustion? Because if we are busy, we matter. In the corporate religion, busyness is piety. If you stop moving, you fear you will cease to exist. You have filled every silence with noise, every empty moment with a scroll or a task, because you are terrified of what you might hear if the noise stopped. If you weren't an associate director, who would you be? If you didn't have the deadline, what would you do with your day? The answer terrifies you. You have forgotten how to structure your own existence. You need the boss to tell you when to eat lunch. You need the calendar invite to tell you where to be. You have become institutionalized, like a prisoner who has been inside so long that the idea of the outside world is no longer a dream, it is a threat. Inside, you know the rules. You know when the lights go out. You know the hierarchy. Outside is chaos. Outside requires you to decide, so you cling to the golden handcuffs. And let's talk about the golden part, the luxury car, the nice clothes, the expensive cocktails. You defend the job because you need the money to pay for the lifestyle that you only need because of the job. You buy the $80,000 car to make the commute bearable. You buy the expensive takeout because you are too drained to cook. You pay for the housekeeper because you are never home to clean. You pay for the therapy to handle the stress. You are trapped in a cycle of compensatory consumption. You are burning the candle at both ends and then buying expensive wax to replace it. If you quit the job, you lose the car. But if you quit the job, you don't need the car to commute. You can't see this logic from inside the loop. All you see is the threat of losing the stuff. You have conflated your standard of living with your quality of life. They are not the same thing. In fact, they are often inversely correlated. The higher your standard of living, the bigger the house, the fancier the car, the lower your quality of life, because the more you must slave to maintain the overhead. You are a biological machine designed for sunlight, movement, and connection, currently acting as a storage unit for stress and premium consumer goods. And deep down, there is the fear of disappointing them, your parents, your partner, society. They were so proud when you got the job. They bragged to their friends. My son, the lawyer. My daughter, the VP. If you leave, you aren't just quitting a job. You are shattering an image. You are breaking the unspoken contract of the middle class. You are terrifying them because if you jump, they have to look at the edge too. So you stay. You smile. You say, it's a great opportunity. You defend the cage because the door is open, and you are the one choosing not to walk through it. Admitting that is the hardest thing you will ever do. Let's open up the first specific mechanism of this trap, the deferred life plan. This is the central theology of the 9-to-5 religion. It preaches a simple sermon. Suffer now, live later. You are told to trade your prime years, your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, in exchange for freedom in your 60s and 70s. Think about the biological absurdity of this deal. You are trading your healthiest, most energetic, most cognitively sharp years for money. You are selling the years when you can hike mountains, start businesses, stay up all night, and learn new languages with ease. And what do you get in return? You get the promise of leisure when your body is starting to fail. You get to travel the world when your knees hurt too much to walk the stairs of the Cinque Terre. You get to pursue your hobbies when your eyesight is fading. You are front-loading the pain and back-loading the pleasure. But there is a flaw in the contract. You might not make it to the back end. You know someone who died at 58. A heart attack. A stroke. Cancer. They saved every penny. They worked the overtime. They had the retirement plan. And they died at their desk or in a hospital bed 2 weeks after their retirement party. Their deferred life was cancelled. The bank didn't refund the time. The universe didn't say, oops, sorry, here are those 40 years back. Gone. And even if you do survive, who will you be when you get there? You spend 40 years training yourself to be a worker. You train your brain to wake up, commute, obey, process tasks, and go home. You do this 10,000 times. Then one Tuesday you stop. You retire. Do you think you suddenly become an adventurer? Do you think the creativity you suppressed for 4 decades suddenly blossoms? No, you become a ghost. You see this in retirees. They look lost. They wander the grocery store aisles at 11 a.m. because they don't know what else to do. They lost their purpose. Their purpose was work. Without the structure, they collapse. The suicide rate and depression rate among recent retirees is a dark statistic nobody talks about at the farewell party. You are deferring your life to a version of yourself that won't know how to live it. And look at the someday logic you use every day. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll travel to Japan. Someday I'll learn to paint. Someday is a dangerous word. It is code for never. Someday pacifies you. It makes you feel better about the fact that you aren't doing it today. It allows you to endure the misery of the present because you have a fantasy of the future, but the future is built out of nows. If your now is always filled with corporate drudgery, your future will be a pile of archived emails. The 9-to-5 system relies on you believing that your time is abundant. It relies on you thinking you have forever. It hides the urgency. It sterilizes the passage of time. The office environment is timeless. The fluorescent lights never change. The temperature is always 72 degrees. The seasons pass outside the window, but inside it is always Q3. You blink and a decade is gone. You look at photos of your kids and they are suddenly adults. You missed it. You were physically there, maybe, but you were mentally checking your BlackBerry. You missed the magic because you were worried about the meeting. This is the tragedy of the deferred life. You are trading the only thing you actually own, the present moment, for a hypothetical future that is not guaranteed. You are starving yourself at the banquet of life, saving your appetite for a dessert that might never be served. You tell yourself you are doing it for your family. But ask your family what they want. Do they want the slightly bigger house and the stressed out, absent parent? Or do they want you? Do they want your time, your attention, your joy you can't buy back the Tuesday afternoon you missed? No amount of 401k matching can purchase a memory that wasn't made. The deferred life is a scam. It is a Ponzi scheme where you pay in time and the payout is regrets. We are a family here. This is the most dangerous sentence in the modern lexicon. It is usually spoken by a CEO making 300 times your salary or an HR director smiling with dead eyes. We are a family. No, you are not. A family is unconditional. A family doesn't fire you because the stock price dipped. A family doesn't ask you to sign a non-compete clause. A family doesn't conduct a performance improvement plan before kicking you out of the house. This language is not accidental. It is emotional engineering. By framing the company as a tribe, they hack your evolutionary biology. Humans are wired to sacrifice for the tribe. We are wired to protect the group at our own expense. When they call it a family, they are triggering that instinct. They are asking for the devotion of a blood relative while offering the loyalty of a mercenary. It starts at the orientation. The swag bag, the water bottle with the logo, the hoodie. You are branding yourself. You are putting on the uniform. Then comes the mission. They don't just sell software or process insurance claims. No, they are changing the world. They are disrupting the industry. They wrap the mundane act of profit generation in a holy shroud of purpose. Why? Because if you believe you are on a crusade, you will accept the conditions of a martyr. You will stay late. You will work weekends. You will skip your child's recital, not because you are paid to, but because the team needs you. Because we are all in this together. This is toxic loyalty. It is a one-way street. You give them your heart. They give you a direct deposit. You give them your weekends. They give you a shout-out in the Monday morning Zoom. Watch how they weaponize empathy. Your boss calls you at 7 p.m. on a Friday. I know it's late, but we really need this for the client. We're all pulling an all-nighter. If it were a transaction, you would say, my rate for overtime is double. Pay me or I leave. But it's not a transaction. It's family. So if you say no, you aren't just an employee refusing work. You are a traitor abandoning your brothers in the trenches. The guilt is the whip. They don't need to force you, they make you force yourself, and look at the rewards. The pizza party, the bagel Friday, the happy hour. These are infantilizing rituals. They treat you like a kindergarten class. Good job, kids. Here is a slice of pepperoni. It creates a false sense of camaraderie that masks the exploitation. You are laughing with your co-workers, drinking the warm beer, and for a moment, you forget that you are all underpaid. You bond over the trauma of the work rather than the joy of the life. Consider the scam of unlimited PTO. It sounds generous. Take as much time as you need. But in a family, taking time off is seen as weakness. Without a set number of days, there is no right amount to take. So you look around. Nobody else is taking vacation. The rock stars and ninjas are working through Christmas. So you take less time off than if you had a set 2 weeks. You police yourself. You become your own jailer because you don't want to let the family down. And then comes the betrayal. The economy turns. The quarterly projection is missed. The family meeting is called. The tone is different. The CEO looks sad. These were difficult decisions. This hurts me more than it hurts you. And then the email, or the locked Slack account, the mask drops instantly. The family vanishes. You are now a liability, a security risk. You are escorted out like a criminal. Where is the love now? Where is the we're in this together? It was never real. It was a simulation designed to extract maximum yield from your human capital. You are left standing in the parking lot, realizing you sacrificed your actual family, your spouse, your kids, your parents, for a corporate mirage that replaced you before your seat was cold. They didn't want your community. They wanted your compliance. And by calling it family, they made you thank them for the exploitation. You walk through the front door. You are drained. Your brain feels like static. You sit on the couch and open your phone. You don't open a book. You don't open a journal. You open an app with a shopping cart icon. You scroll. You see a pair of shoes, a gadget, a trip to Chulham. Click. Buy. For 3 seconds you feel a rush, a spark in the darkness. You feel in control. You feel powerful. You just exchanged your labor for a reward. This is compensatory consumption. You aren't buying the object. You are buying a numbing agent. You are buying a brief, synthetic hit of dopamine to counteract the cortisol that has been pumping through your veins for 8 hours. The system relies on this cycle. It needs you to be unhappy. If you were content, if you were fulfilled by your daily existence, you wouldn't need to consume constantly to feel alive. Happy people don't impulse buy. Happy people don't need retail therapy. But you aren't happy. You are stressed, bored, and undervalued, so you spend. You say, I work hard, I deserve this. Pause, look at that sentence. I deserve this. You are framing the purchase as a reward for your suffering. You have accepted that suffering is the price of admission and the consumption is the prize. You are eating the candy to get the taste of the medicine out of your mouth. And look at what you buy. You buy convenience. You buy the expensive takeout because you are too tired to cook. You buy the cleaner because you are too busy to clean. You pay a premium for everything because you are time poor. The job creates the problem, lack of time/energy, and then the salary pays for the solution, convenience services. It is a zero-sum game. You are working to pay for the infrastructure that allows you to keep working. Then there is the status game. You look at your coworker's new Tesla. You feel a pang of something. Envy. Inadequacy, you think. If I get that promotion, I can get one too. Why do you want it? Do you love electric motors? Do you care about torque? Or do you want the signal? You want the object that says, I am winning. In a world where we are stripped of our individuality and turned into headcount, we use consumer goods to reclaim our identity. We wear our salaries on our wrists, drive our bonuses, and wear our titles on our feet. We are buying things we don't need, with money we don't have, to impress people we don't like. And the system loves this. It is the perfect closed loop. The corporation pays you. You take that money and give it back to another corporation. The money never stays with you. You are just a conduit. You are a pipe through which capital flows. You keep the stress, they keep the equity. Think about your house. You worked for years to buy it. You stressed over the mortgage. You have the dream home. But do you live in it? No. You sleep in it. You shower in it. You spend maybe 2 conscious hours a day in it during the week. The rest of the time, it sits empty. Heated, cooled, furnished, and empty. You are paying for a museum of a life you aren't actually living. You are the curator of a home that you visit on weekends, and when you do go on vacation, that sacred 2 weeks a year, what do? You binge relax. You go to an all-inclusive resort. You drink too much. You sunburn yourself. You try to cram a year's worth of relaxation into 10 days. It's manic. It's not rest. It's a desperate attempt to reset the machine. You spend thousands of dollars to escape the life you are spending thousands of hours building. Does that make sense? If your life was designed correctly, you wouldn't need to escape it. You wouldn't need a vacation as a survival mechanism. But you have been sold the idea that misery is the default state and happiness is a product you purchase on the weekend. The 9-to-5 lie tells you that success is the accumulation of things. So you fill your garage, you fill your closet, you fill your shelves. And yet, on Sunday night, staring at all your stuff, you still feel that emptiness in your chest. The stuff didn't fix the hole. It just decorated the cell. You are surrounded by the trophies of your servitude, and you have never felt more trapped. Stop looking at your boss. Stop looking at the economy. Stop blaming capitalism. Turn the camera around. Look at the person in the mirror. This is the part you aren't going to like. This is the part where we stop pretending you are a helpless victim of a cruel machine. You are not a victim. You are a volunteer. You sign the contract. You wake up every morning and choose to go. You choose to sit in that chair. You choose to nod when you want to scream. You choose to trade your sovereignty for a direct deposit. The 9-to-5 lie only works because you agree to believe it. You are the one who stays silent in the meeting. Remember last Tuesday? The boss proposed that ridiculous timeline. You knew it was impossible. You knew it would ruin your weekend. You knew it was a lie, and what did you do? Did you speak up? Did you say, no, that is not realistic, no? You nodded. You wrote it down. You smiled. You betrayed yourself to keep the peace. You valued your comfort in that moment over your integrity. You taught them that you can be pushed. You taught them that your boundaries are suggestions, not walls. Every time you answer an email at 9 p.m., you are signing a new contract. You are saying, I am available, I have no life. Use me. You blame them for calling, but you are the one who picks up. You have fallen in love with your own cage because it shields you from the terror of the wild. The wild is scary. In the wild, if you don't hunt, you starve. In the wild, there is no HR department to complain to. In the wild, you are entirely responsible for your own survival, and that terrifies you, so you choose the zoo. You choose the scheduled feeding times. You choose the limited space. You trade your claws for a cushion. You tell yourself you are doing it because you are responsible. Bullshit. You are doing it because you are afraid. You are afraid to find out if you are actually good enough to survive on your own. You are afraid that without the company logo, you are nothing. You are hiding behind the institution. You use the company policy as a shield to avoid making hard decisions. You use the steady paycheck as an excuse to never take a risk. And the worst part, you are passing this virus down. You tell your kids, get good grades so you can get a good job. You are training them to be the next generation of batteries. You are teaching them to seek permission. You are teaching them that the goal of life is to find a benevolent master. You look at them with love, yet you are preparing them for the same slaughterhouse you are currently standing in. Pause. Let that sink in. You are the jailer. The door isn't locked. It never was. The golden handcuffs. You are holding the key. You have always held the key. The key is your willingness to endure discomfort. The key is your willingness to downsize your life to upgrade your freedom. The key is your willingness to say no. But you don't turn the key. You stare at the door and you imagine the monsters outside. What about health insurance? What about the recession? What about the gap on my resume? You invent monsters to justify staying in the cell. You are waiting for someone to come and save you. You are waiting for permission to leave. You are waiting for the right time. There is no savior. There is no permission slip. The right time was 10 years ago. The second best time is now, but you probably won't move. You will finish this video, feel a momentary spark of rebellion, and then the alarm will go off tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. And you will get up. You will put on the costume. You will drive the car. You will sit in the chair, because the lie is comfortable. And the truth requires a spine you haven't used in years, so here we are. The end of the line, you have two choices, and there is no middle ground. There is no I'll try a little bit of both. You are either in the matrix or you are unplugging. Option A, you stay. You close this window. You go to bed. You set the alarm for 6:30 a.m. You convince yourself that I'm being dramatic. You tell yourself, it's not that bad. At least I have a job. At least I'm safe. And you act out the script for the rest of your life. You will get the promotion. You will get the slightly nicer office. You will buy the bigger house that you never see. You will take the 2 weeks of vacation every year, staring at the ocean, worrying about the inbox. You will age. The stress will etch itself into your face. Your blood pressure will creep up. You will miss the plays, the games, the quiet moments. You will be present in body, but absent in spirit. And then, one day, it will end. Maybe you retire at 65. Maybe you get a few years of golf before the hips give out, and then you are lying in a hospital bed. The room is quiet. The machines are beeping, and you look back. You look at the 40 years you sold. You look at the millions of emails you sent. You look at the meetings you sat through, and you realize nobody cares. The company has already replaced you. The emails are deleted. The projects are forgotten. The legacy you thought you were building is dust. You traded the miracle of human consciousness, the statistical impossibility of being alive, for a spreadsheet. That is option A. It is safe, it is predictable, and it is a tragedy. Option B, you break the pattern. This is the terrifying choice. You stop looking for a better boss and start looking for a way out. I'm not telling you to quit tomorrow. That is reckless. I am telling you to start plotting. You stop spending money on things that numb you. You downsize. You cut the expenses that keep you trapped. You buy your freedom, dollar by dollar. You stop trading time for money and you start building assets that pay you while you sleep. You start a side business. You freelance. You learn a skill that allows you to hunt directly without the farm. It will be hard. You will be tired. You will be scared. Your friends will call you crazy. Your parents will worry. You will fail. You will have months where you don't know if it's going to work. But for the first time in your life, the pain will be yours. The stress will be the stress of growth, not the stress of servitude. The tired will be the tired of building your own house, not cleaning someone else's. And then, one random Tuesday, you will wake up. The sun will be shining. The house will be quiet, and there will be no alarm. There will be no commute. There will be no boss. There will be no meeting. You will make a cup of coffee. You will sit on your porch, and you will realize that you own the next 12 hours. You own your mind. You own your time. This is the only wealth that matters. Wealth is not the number in your bank account. Wealth is the number of unallocated hours in your day. Wealth is the ability to say no without fear. Wealth is the ability to wake up and ask, what do I want to do today? And actually do it. The 9-to-5 lie told you that money is the goal. The truth is that money is just the fuel, time is the destination. You have been running a race toward a finish line that doesn't exist. Stop running. Step off the track. The world is wide. The opportunities are endless, but you cannot seize them if your hands are gripped tight around the bars of your cell. The door is open. The guard is asleep. The key is in your pocket. You can walk out right now, or you can stay and wait for the gold watch. The choice is yours, but choose carefully. You are running out of time.